Hey folks, Gary here. Happy Wednesday morning to you. I hope your day is starting off just fantastic. What a great day to be alive. Every day we walk with the Lord is a really good day. It really, truly is. Now, we've been talking about being washed by the blood of the Lamb, which again sounds really weirdly weird if you don't have a history in church, if you're not a Christian or you haven't been around Christianity, that can sound really pretty odd. Why would you want that? And how does blood actually cleanse you? All that kind of stuff. Well, here's the thing. There is sin in the world. And I don't think people would deny that. I mean, anytime you see really horrible, atrocious things take place in this world, that is because of sin. It's because we're in a broken world. And it all goes back to Adam and Eve in the garden. But Adam and Eve disobeying God, sin entered in, chaos entered into creation, and we've been suffering with that ever since. And we have our own sin. Anytime we miss the mark when it comes to God, that's added on, and that weight holds us down. And of course, we see it everywhere. And so we want to be cleansed from that. And there's nothing new with wanting to be cleansed from that. That's why we read the Old Testament, where God provided a way for the Israelites to deal with the sin in their lives through animal sacrifices that would go to the temple and be sacrificed on an altar. So we read that throughout Scripture. But here's the thing. Those sacrifices were only temporary. It only provided temporary relief. Something permanent needed to take place, and what took place was Jesus. The promise we read about back in Genesis. God actually talks about that with the serpent. It says, well, just read Genesis chapter 3 and get through that in 3 and 4. Here's the thing. Jesus is the ultimate payment for this, the sacrifice on the cross. We understand that He cleanses us of all of that. But going back to the Old Testament, I want to read what took place before that. So actually, I'm going to look at Hebrews chapter 10, which is in the New Testament, but talking about the Old Testament practices. Hebrews 10, verses 1 to 4. That's what we'll read here. Here we are. It says this. The old system under the law of Moses was only a shadow, a dim preview of the good things to come. In other words, Jesus to come, right? Not the good things themselves. The sacrifices under that system were repeated again and again, year after year, but they were never able to provide the perfect cleansing for those who came to worship. In other words, it was only temporary. It couldn't cleanse you completely of that sin, right? If they could have provided perfect cleansing, the sacrifices would have stopped. Like you just would have done it once and it would have been over, right? For the worshipers would have been purified once and for all time, and their feelings of guilt would have disappeared. But instead, those sacrifices actually reminded them of their sins year after year. So it didn't just simply cleanse them, it reminded them of how sinful they were year after year. For it is not possible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. It's not possible for creation to take away the sin of creation. The answer needed to be a godly answer. And we'll get into that tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great Wednesday. And we'll see you tomorrow.